Hey guys, so today we're going to continue talking about the legislative branch. You're going to be taking notes on gerrymandering and different ways to kill a bill. We briefly went over this earlier this week with some notes, but we're going to go into a little bit more detail. Remember, these notes will be used on your Friday quiz on the legislative branch, so make sure you keep these notes somewhere safe in your Google Drive where you can find it easily. Okay, by the end of the day, you should be able to answer these questions. What is gerrymandering and what are some ways to kill a bill in the legislative process? All right, so gerrymandering is all about congressional districts. Remember, congressional districts are based off the state's population. So in Minnesota, our population supports 8 total congressional districts, and we have 1 representative from each district. Now remember that some of these districts look really big compared to other districts like 7 and 5 or 8 and 5. Those are really easy to compare. These two are huge. 5 looks teeny tiny. Although their land size is vastly different, their population size should be roughly the same. The same amount of people roughly in District 1 as there is in 2, as there is in 6, as there is in 8 and 7. So it's not based off land size, it's based off an equal population size. Okay, so we did a little activity to help us fill in the notes for gerrymandering. Go ahead and open up that Google Doc if you haven't already and have that ready to fill in some information just on the gerrymandering from this video. So in class, we went ahead and pretended that we had a brand new state called Collinsville. So now the United States has 51 total states. One pretend state that we're adding on is called Collinsville. And we pretended that each of these boxes here represented one person in our state. So we have 50 total people in this state, or 50 total boxes. All right, so now that we're a state, we need to go ahead and draw our district lines. So that way we have members in the House of Representatives for our state. And we're going to say that according to our state's population, we need a total of 5 districts. Okay, so we have 5 total districts with 50 total people. If we do the math, that means we have 10 people we need to include in each district. Remember that each district should be an equal amount of population size. Okay, so we went ahead and we took a minute to just kind of go ahead and calculate how we could draw the different districts. And a lot of people came up with nice, easy, clean lines that look like this, right? That's super easy to read. They're just rectangles. There's no odd shapes or anything like that. We have 10 people in each and 5 total districts. We met all our requirements. All right, there is a problem with these district lines. Remember, each district has 1 representative. That 1 representative gets 1 vote in Congress. When they vote, they're not voting based off what they think. They're supposed to vote based off what the people in their district think. So let's say I'm from District 5. Okay, I have a bill that's presented to me, and let's say it's a bill that is supported heavily by the Democrats and the Republicans really do not like that bill. Okay, so if I am the representative for District 5, I see this bill, I can either vote pass or not pass. I'm going to go to the people in my district and I'm going to say, okay, what do you guys think about this bill? The majority of people, let's say that this red represents people who are in the Republican Party. Let's say blue are people who align themselves with the Democratic Party. If I go to my district and I say, hey guys, what do you think about this bill? Should we pass it or not pass it? Only 4 people are going to say, let's not pass it. And 6 people are going to say, let's pass it. So the majority of people in my district say pass it. I'm going to go back to Congress and say, okay, majority of people in my district say pass. I'm going to say pass. So District 5 would say pass to this democratically leading bill. If we look at District 4, it's the same amount of people from the same party, so they're going to say pass. 3 would also say pass. 2 would also say pass, and 1 would also say pass. But even though the Republican Party makes up like a third of the population in our new state, their voices aren't being heard because these district lines are favoring the Democratic Party. Okay, so these district lines are no good. They're favoring the Democratic Party. We're going to go ahead and try to redraw these district lines. Let's say that we redrew them so they look like this. Okay, that looks like we have a little bit more fair representation, and it's not quite as easy to read as the last one, but what's more important is that people are being represented fairly. Let's see how fair these district lines are. So District 1, majority of people are Republican. They're going to vote for the Republican Party. District 2, majority of people are Republican. They're going to vote for the Republican Party. So we have 2 for the Republicans. District 3, majority Republican, going to vote Republican. All right, District 4, majority Democrat. They're going to vote Democrat, so Democrats have 1, Republicans have 3. District 5, majority Democrat, so they're also going to vote Democrat. Okay, so while this one's a little bit more fair, it also is kind of unfairly favoring the Republican Party. The Republican Party in this state, this new state of Collinsville, they're the minority of people, but they have the most votes in the districts, right? We have 3 districts who are primarily Republican. They're going to support Republican bills and legislation. Even though there's more Democrats in this state, only 2 of their districts are going to vote for those Democratic-leaning bills and laws. Okay, so this should help you fill out these notes, thinking about that activity that we did in class and we briefly went over in this video. We're going to go ahead and use that to make a definition for gerrymandering. So gerrymandering is when district lines are drawn to, go ahead and think about it for 30 seconds and I'll tell you the answer. All right, so gerrymandering is when district lines are drawn to favor a party. You can go ahead and use that to fill it in your notes. Like we saw in the first example, those district lines were drawn to favor the Democratic Party. In the second example, those district lines favored the Republican Party. So it kind of groups the population sizes together, so that way one party is getting more votes than the other party. All right, so what's the problem with gerrymandering? What are some bad or negative things that are coming from gerrymandering? Go ahead and think about it for about 30 seconds and I'll reveal the answer to you. All right, if you said anything about it being unequal or unfair, you're absolutely right. Gerrymandering leads to unfair representation. So the population in that district or in that state is not being represented fairly. In the first example, we saw that Republicans' voices weren't being heard at all. In the second example, Democrats' voice were being heard, but even though they were the majority of the population in the state, they were made the minority of voice or vote because of gerrymandering those district lines. Okay, and both parties have done gerrymandering in all sorts of situations in states. So there's not one party that does it more than the other party. And it is not something that is encouraged or supposed to be done, but they just kind of do it really sneakily. Usually, gerrymandering happens when they get information back from the census, and the census says, okay, according to our population size, we need to change these district lines. Like now there's more people living in District 5 than there are in District 1. We got to even it out, so they have to redraw those district lines so the populations are equal. That's when the party that's in charge, they're like, okay, now we can go ahead and redraw those district lines in a really sneaky way to make sure we have more power. Sometimes, remember, the party that's not in control can act as a watchdog, where they're watching the party that is in control to make sure that they're not overstepping their bounds. Making sure that they're not drawing district lines to gerrymander is one of the things that they might be watching for. All right, last question to add in your notes. Congress is responsible for drawing these district lines. Why would they purposefully gerrymander? So they do it really sneakily and they know it's wrong, but they still do it. Why would they do this? What's their motivation? Go ahead and think about it for 30 seconds and I'll reveal the answer so you can write it in your notes. Okay, if you said to get reelected, you're 100% correct. If that person is from the Democratic Party, they might want to gerrymander so that way there's more Democrats within their district, so that way they can win reelection. Same thing with Republicans. If they're a Republican, they might want to gerrymander to have more Republicans within their district, so that way they're more likely to be reelected. If you said to support their party, you're 100% correct. They're going to want bills to be passed into laws that support their party or that support their party's platform. If you need more time to write this down, go ahead and put the video on pause, push play when you're ready. All right, so once you're finished, you're going to go ahead and use the text posted on Google Classroom, page 1, page 2, and page 3 to finish completing the rest of the notes. It should be pretty smooth. It aligns directly with the text. If you're having any troubles finding the answers, or if you need to check your answers, feel free to email me or call or text that Google Voice phone number at the bottom of this Google Classroom post. Once you're all finished, you might want to go ahead and just double check the sample distance learning post, specifically the video. In that video, I'm going to go ahead and go over the expectations as we move to full distance learning. I'm going to go ahead and just show you where that video is. So when you go to classwork sample DL post, there'll be this November 18th DL Padlet. You don't need to do this as an assignment. This was just like a practice run for us in class. And I go over everything that you need to know in this video right here. It is a little bit longer, but it's everything that you're going to need to know, going over like the schedule for all of your classes. That's changed, what to expect in this class, how to access different documents and stuff like that. If you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. Otherwise, make sure when you're finished with these notes, you put them somewhere safe in your drive so that way you can find them easily for that Friday quiz. Good luck, guys.